What's up? My name is Trey Deck, company F1, Go Firehouse. Today I am talking to you about prison rodeos. Prison rodeos, let me tell you what a rodeo is. I'm pretty sure most of you up here don't really understand what a rodeo actually is. A rodeo is where cowboys go to an arena and do traditional things that were done on cattle drives. So roping, riding bulls, riding horses, wrestling steer, tie downs, all the fun stuff, right? The reason that I'm talking to you about this is because it's close to me. I'm from a small town an hour north of Houston, Texas. So rodeoing was big where I'm from. It still is, it will always be. The way people make a living where I'm from is steer, heifers, horses, goats, sheep. We're ranchers. So this is why it's a big deal to me. But I'm here today to talk to you about prison rodeos. The reason I want to talk to you about a prison rodeo is because where I'm from, my dad used to take me to these rodeos almost every weekend in October. And instead of normal cowboys, they were wearing these shirts that had stripes on them. And I didn't really understand what it was at first. I thought it was just something that everyone did. And then one day I asked my dad, I was like, "Hey Dad, look, why does everyone have the same shirt on? Like, why don't they look any different?" He said, "Son, this is a prison rodeo." I said, "Dad, what is a prison rodeo?" So he looks at me and he says, "Son, all the cowboys are prisoners." And immediately, as a little kid, I'm thinking, oh, so these are all bad guys. These are all guys that have killed someone, which is not true at all. So I'm sitting there watching these prisoners rodeo, and the older I get, once I turned about 14, 15, I understood that some of these guys were some of the best cowboys I'd ever seen in my life. Better than my father, better than my grandpa. Just unbelievable. One of the main things that made these men great cowboys was they're not afraid to get hurt. As a cowboy, if you are scared of anything, if you are scared of death, it's going to be a long day every single day of your life, because you cannot be scared to get a little dirty, to get hurt, to get a little cut. You just can't. And these guys that are facing 45 plus years in prison, they're not scared to get hurt, because that just means they get a little time off. So, but I'm not here today to talk to you about a prison rodeo near my house. I'm actually here to tell you about a prison rodeo in Angola, Louisiana. It is a state prison in Louisiana. It is pretty much an hour north of New Orleans. And the Angola opened up in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it was primarily Caucasian men. There was no African American men. The white man wanted its power, as usual, and for some reason, even though it was a prison where all men that commit crimes should go, only white men go there, or went there. And this was not just an ordinary prison either. This was a labor camp, basically. So if you went to prison here, you were working in the railroad, you were digging ditches, you were working on the cotton farms. You were not just getting 30 minutes of lunch, 30 minutes of breakfast, 30 minutes of dinner, and 2 hours of free time outside, and then sitting in your room. You were working every day, all day. So these men became very hostile, just very quick to anger with each other because of this. A lot of people tried to escape. A lot of people died because they tried to escape. And because of this, Angola State Prison earned the nickname as the bloodiest prison in America. And as a warden, you don't want that. You don't want that name, because it's just not a good look on you. It's not a good look on your guards. It's not a good look on your inmates. It's not a good look on the town as a whole. It's not a good look on the state as a whole. It just shows that you can't control what you got going on. So in the mid-1900s, a new warden was hired, and he kind of brought everything together. He showed people that it was possible to keep things under control. You just needed a plan, and you needed to have a good plan, not just any plan. The plan that this warden had when he first came in was to let prisoners earn the freedom to rodeo every weekend in October, some weekends in November, and some weekends in September. When he first introduced this plan to the board and introduced this plan to the community, everyone looked at him like he was crazy, absolutely crazy. Why are we gonna let prisoners rodeo? They're just gonna run away. They're just gonna try and hurt people. But what they didn't realize is that the warden would not allow anyone that was not on good behavior, helped out in the cafeteria, did a bunch of hours working. If you weren't helping the prison get better or helping yourself get better, you weren't allowed to rodeo. So this created a whole different change in the way that the prison was working. Prisoners were starting to commit acts of kindness, for one. Angola lost the nickname as the bloodiest prison in the country and earned the nickname as the prison with the craziest warden. But a few years later, people started to realize that this rodeo was not what people realized. It was a way to create profit for a foundation. So all the profits that came in from this rodeo went to a rehabilitation center for the inmates, which was huge for the inmates. It allowed them to have a little bit of freedom, and because of this freedom, a reward would come back to them and end up helping them in the end. So a few years later, after the rodeo had been going on for about 5-6 years, the warden thought, well, not everyone wants to rodeo. So they introduced an art show. Some of the best artwork I've truly seen in my entire life came from this rodeo. It allowed people that weren't into rodeoing, didn't really like it, a chance to be involved in the push for a rehabilitation center. And not only that, these pieces of artwork were getting auctioned off for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. And in a small town in Louisiana, that's a lot of money for a piece of art. These people aren't paying that on a regular basis. The only reason these people would be paying that amount of money in this small town in Louisiana is if they were looking out for each other and they were looking out for the community. And that is exactly what was happening. So when you look back on this and you really look at it deep, you dive deep into it, you understand that it's not just prisoners trying to escape, it's not just people being crazy. It's actually a chance for these prisoners to show everyone that they're actually good people and that there's still a fighting chance for them. And I just want everyone to know that these prisoners, they're not just doing it for themselves, they're doing it for the families, they're doing it for the community. and they're trying to make a difference in this world. And that is one of the main reasons that I'm so interested in this topic. And one of the main reasons I hope that you become interested in this topic, because it truly means a lot to me. And I hope one day I get to help out in this cause. Thank you for watching, and I hope you get a chance to dive deep into this and get as much interested in it as I am. Thank you.